you? Whenever. Well, good Monday night to everyone out there. I'm Sam Castor, and I am the founder and CEO of Alivea. We are a social business. And as a social business, we use cutting-edge technologies that make the biggest difference in people's lives to fund our not-for-profit activity, which is providing the world's most advanced immune support to the world's most vulnerable children. We do that all over the world, but a big portion of what we do is allocated towards Mexico. So the way our social business platform works is every time somebody buys a product as a social business, we donate a 28-day supply of an ACE Mannan-based product to a child in need. And this last week, we actually took a group of about 40 people down to Mexico. And they got to see firsthand the work that we're doing. We went to the Charisma Rehabilitation Center for Brain Damaged Children and heard from Dr. Sergio on the incredible impact that this technology makes on these children's lives. We also visited with some very disadvantaged girls from one of the homes that we support, and just had an incredible afternoon with them. We met them at a zoo, had lunch with them. Everybody got to walk around with their girl. We allocated one girl per person. So you got a chance to get to know them over the next 3 hours. It was an incredible time. These kids, I'm telling you, all you need to do is show them a little bit of care, a little bit of love, and they are all over you. And that's what our group does exceptionally well, by the way. And as Lauren said, that's the best part of the trip. I agree with that, by the way. We had dinner with the Foxes on Friday night. Former president of Mexico, Vicente Fox, his wife, Marta. They addressed the group and basically shared with them what we've been doing for over a decade and the importance of what we do. And President Fox is an incredible speaker when it comes to leadership. And that's just really what he's all about. And so just some very inspiring words for him. And of course, Mrs. Fox, you know, her charity, which is Vamos Mexico, that's who we work through for distribution, is just all about the kids. And so it's always fun to hear her talk because, again, she is just as inspiring in her own way. And then Saturday morning, we did a press conference and actually launched Alivea Mexico. And Octavio Hernandez was there, who is our Executive VP of Latin America Development. And we just had a great time. President Fox spoke again at the press conference. So did Mrs. Fox. I spoke, and so did Octavio. And now the whole world knows that we're in Mexico. And by the way, I talked to Jessica Hernandez, Octavio's wife. She said they had over 100 responses on our Facebook for Spanish-speaking market. Just incredible. And so one of our corporate people, Anda, is down there this week helping them launch the website and the sign-up process and the way reports come back for shipping and all of that kind of stuff. So we're very excited about launching Mexico. Steve, you were down there. What did you think? What do you think the people that were there for the very first time felt?
Oh, I think that they thought it was incredible. As a matter of fact, they all kept saying that, Sam. You know, I've been down there many times with you, as you know, and I never get tired of being down with those kids. It recharges me. No matter what we go through on a corporate level, no matter what kind of strain we're under, when you get to be with those children, it makes all the difference. It drives home that we don't just make an impact on the lives of the people that consume our products, we make an impact in the lives of those children. And to hear from Dr. Sergio and the different caretakers of the organizations, and to hear from Teresita, who runs Vamos Mexico with Sergio, they just love what we do and the impact we make. And we were able to put together bags of goodies for these girls. And it's not just goodies, it's things that they need on a daily basis. And one of the interesting things that Teresita was able to share with me, which I hadn't really put this together before, was because we are doing so much for the nutrition for the kids, they're able to allocate other monies toward dental care for these kids, toward these other necessities that they don't have to worry about as far as the nutrition goes. So we are really making a greater impact than even just the nourishment, according to the folks at Vamos Mexico. So that was really heartwarming as well, and really just, it's made my year so far to get to be down there with all those kids.
Just saw Shelley and Alan type in, their response. They were down there, and I mean, it's something everybody should aspire to do. And we're going to try to find ways to get more people to Mexico, because it's an experience. We talk about our travel as experiences. This is the experience of a lifetime. So glad to have you. Do you have Dr. Wilson on by any chance?
I am looking for Dr. Wilson, but I have not seen him show up yet. So, Dr. Wilson, if you wouldn't mind raising your hand, there you are. He was ahead of me. And
Okay.
now coming on as a panelist. So, Sam, if you don't mind, I'll jump in here and introduce Dr. Wilson.
Sure.
So we have a great product here at Alovea. It's called BioRes, and there are two different versions of that. We right now have our Thermo and our Sleep product that help with weight management. Both of those products do on a lot of different levels. And we tonight are very fortunate and blessed to have with us the gentleman who created this technology, who discovered how to do this specialized process to take energy from plants and put it into a structured water that we can put into our bodies and get benefits from. His name is Dr. Thomas Wilson. He has been doing this for over 14 years now. And Dr. Wilson, it is so great for you to be on and joining us tonight. But if you wouldn't mind, describe a little bit about BioRes and how it works and what makes it so special.
Great. Well, hi, Steve. Hi, Sam. Great to be with you tonight. Hi, everybody. Yeah, it's based upon the principle. The basic principle is that if you work with nature, nature will work with you. So as we know in nature, as we know from modern science, everything is energy. That's the foundation of our reality. Everything is energy. There's the energy of the rocks. There's the energy that goes through the wavelengths that are allowing us to connect to one another throughout the world instantaneously. There's the wavelengths that we're hearing as we communicate. There's wavelengths that allow us to see. Everything is energy and wavelengths. Well, the wavelength and energy of life comes from the sun. It is captured by the plants. It is what animates matter. So the sunlight is captured by the plants through a process that we all know is called photosynthesis. It is stored in those plants. Photosynthesis literally means the putting together of light, the capturing of light. It's put together in the plants, captured in its capacity as a plant, and then stored there to be transferred in some form or another to some other life form. Now, in the human niche in the world, we know that there's about 26,000 plants that have been cataloged and categorized for different attributes to us, because they've known for all of recorded history, through hundreds of cultures and millions of people, that different plants have different effects on our chemistry. It's just common knowledge, and 80% of the world's population still uses this knowledge to their benefit. So understanding that every cell in the body, every function in the body, every tissue in the body is important, because the body functions as a system. Whenever you do anything, it affects everything. And so to create a overall wellness, health, functional state, all these considerations need to be managed. All that needs to be supported. That's supported through the energy derived from the plants through to us as humans. That is the only flow of life that exists. Anything else is a synthetic derivative and a non-real source of energy. Okay, so it comes from the plants through the transfer of energy to us in these various wavelengths that have the effects on us. The challenge with that is our system is so complicated that if we took these plants from all over the world that have these different benefits and tried to consume them in their whole or extracted states, we would have an unwieldy amount to deal with. So what I've been working on for the last 14 years is how to capture that energy so that we have a functional product that will support our function in totality without creating undue amounts of inconvenience from all the plants and products we would have to take. So the process that I've developed, the technology, is how to remove the energy of the matter, the hard matter, and keep the energy of function and sustain that and keep that stored in the water. Because water has tremendous memory and it can retain almost unlimited information. So taking the complexities of our human physiology, addressing that through the wisdom and knowledge and science of the modern era, combining that all together, removing the matter, which creates the limitation of delivery, and putting that and capturing that all in water, and then designing that exclusively for Alovea in the thermal product that was designed with Sam Castor and myself. We have now created a 24-hour weight management system to sustain and create function, because really a weight management issue or problem is a counterproductive state of being. Why is that? Because the body is not designed to carry excess weight. And if it is doing so, it's typically a sign that something is not working. Either it's not working in the signaling mechanism to tell you to stop eating. It's not working in the signaling mechanism to be able to burn fat. It's not working in the abilities to be able to discharge waste. It's not being able to regulate itself to its fullest extent, because we're all designed to, not identically and not in the same shapes and not in the same sizes, but we're all designed to be healthy and have healthy structure.
Well, thank you, Dr. Wilson.
One more thing. And that's where our system, since we are designed that way, that's where our system is striving to achieve, always.
Well, that's great.
I think, Dr. Wilson, when we first started talking about it, we were talking about, of course, since we're a social business, we're always looking for cutting edge technologies that can radically shift major markets. And there's not a bigger market in the nutrition industry, really in the health industry, than the market of managing weight. I mean, this year it's just in this country alone, $200 billion market. And the problem is, statistically, 95% of the people that lose weight on diets are all going to gain it back again. So something is really wrong with the industry. And as we talked about that and talked about how opening these channels of communication through this resonant energy, that we capture in BioRes, provides a more sustainable effect, because it goes right to the root cause of why people aren't burning fat in the first place. It's not because they're getting too many calories or eating certain types of foods. It's because the basic processes of metabolism are broken down. And so if you give energy and bring those back into their normal function, those processes, that's the only way to achieve sustainability. It doesn't mean that you don't need to eat properly. If you want to lose weight, burn fat, but to create a sustainable solution, you have come up with what I think has been the missing link in that industry for decades and decades. So we're going to hear a little bit tonight about some of the people that are experiencing BioRes. And as Steve said, it's a 24-hour system. If you're not sleeping well, if you're not going into that deep sleep, your body stays in that stress mode, makes it almost impossible to get functionality back. And Steve, why don't you share a couple of the testimonies that we heard down in Mexico about the sleep? Let's just start with that. And let's let Dr. Wilson just kind of comment on what we're hearing.
Sure, I'd be glad to, Sam. And while I'm doing this, if you wouldn't mind, if you have a story about weight loss on the thermo and or sleep that you've experienced from BioRes Sleep, please go ahead and raise your hand. We've got a couple of you doing that now. But in the meantime, I want to share my screen real quick. We had somebody in Mexico, and she uses a wearable device. And she said, here is my estimated oxygen variation. And when you have a high variation, that indicates a problem. So this is where she was March 24th. She began using the BioRes Thermal and Sleep, and we'll call her Shelly. And she started using the BioRes Thermal and Sleep right after this. And just 2 days later, or 3 days later, this is what her sleep looked like. So you see in March 24th, you see those orange spikes. There are 3 of them that went into the high level. And if you notice here, she was only sleeping a little over 4 hours. So you go here, and now she's sleeping almost 7 hours, over 6.5 hours, but you see very little variation as she was going onto these products. Well, then, if you look at where she is just this past week, May 6th, you look at how stable that is. That stays right in between those 2 levels in low. That's one of the amazing things, is being able to show people that use these wearables see a much better response, scientific proof that they're getting better sleep. It's not just, I feel better, I have more energy. And we have a lot of that. We're hearing a lot of people saying, when I wake up now, I'll wake up before my alarm often, or I wake up and I feel refreshed, ready to take on the day. Well, Shelly's husband, we'll call him Alan, because that's his name. He actually has a wearable that shows his amount of REM sleep. And he's almost doubled the amount of REM sleep that he has. REM is rapid eye movement. It is a level of sleep where we dream. But Dr. Wilson, if you wouldn't mind, tell us the benefit of somebody getting more REM sleep. What does that do for their body from a physiological standpoint?
Yeah, this is critical. We call this effective sleep. And the reason this is critical is because it has to do with the health of the brain. If the brain is the most active tissue in the body. The brain uses approximately 25% of the body's total energy. That means the brain is burning really hot. If the brain is burning really hot, it's like stoking a fire in the fireplace. But if you can't dampen it, if you can't get the flame to stay oxygenated, then the flame is going to smolder out. So what happens at night in the brain is that there are cells, when you go into a deep effective sleep, there are cells that in the structural components of the brain that will shrink in size to allow the nerves to be bathed in a nutrient-rich broth where they can discharge their waste products, because they produce the most waste products, because they produce the most energy. Some nerve cells will have over 2,000 mitochondria, all of them churning out energy all the time. So they need to offload a lot of that waste product. Now, if they can't do that, then it just stays stored and it becomes toxic to the nerve. The nerve will then start to lose function. That's also where the nerve can uptake its nutrients in that nutrient-rich broth so that it has the chance to continue its job of consolidating memory. So in the big picture, when you look at what health is the ability to adapt, To adapt, we have to learn. To learn, we have to experience. That's the daytime product thermo. Generates the experience of the life of the day. At night, all that experience needs to be cataloged, so to speak, put into its files and consolidated into memory. That is how we learn. And that is only done in an effective sleep state. So to progress in health, which is allowing us to progress in a sustainable weight loss fashion, you have to have an effective sleep so that your brain can consolidate all the information it's gathered through the day. So now it has the information on board to know what to do for the next day. And it is also what allows energy production out of those nerves, because the rate limiting factor to energy production is the ability to offload the waste products. If you can't get rid of the waste, you can't produce more energy. So we have two things going on. The most important thing is to get rid of the waste products through effective sleep.
Well, that's fantastic. I appreciate that commentary. You know, we're going to bring on our first live guest. It is Cheryl Osmondson. So Cheryl, I'm going to make you a panelist and accept the invite and come on and share your experience with BioRes. Cheryl, welcome to Monday Night Live.
Well, you'll have to excuse me because I worked out earlier. And okay, I didn't lose weight right away, but I wasn't ever focused on my weight. But my biggest thing was my sleep, because I would wake up 2, 3, 4 times. Sometimes I couldn't even get back to sleep. Now I do the BioRes and I don't even know how long, and then I'm sound asleep, and then I get up before my alarm gets up. I had to remind myself not to fly out of bed because I don't want to trip over something, you know, and have an accident. I have noticed that my weight is shifting and I'm starting to get those, what you call your abs. Now I got to figure out how to get rid of that's gone. It's dropped down below the belly. So, but otherwise, I love this stuff. I'm still making adjustments with it. Yeah.
Good.
And my workouts are better too.
Perfect.
How so, Cheryl? How else better?
I just was looking up on my wearable that, you know, and it said, you know, I'm way up in my recovery is faster and better than what it used to be. And like I said, I'm going to be 69 years old, and I said I feel better than I do some of these young kids that are working out and doing all the moaning and groaning.
Well,
So,
that's great. Thank you for sharing that. And Dr. Wilson, you want to comment on Cheryl's story, what she's experiencing?
Yes, that's wonderful. You know, our goal is not primarily the weight. Our goal is inches, more appropriately. The body, and I like these talking points because it allows us to go a little deeper in some understandings. But when the cells are not healthy, they cannot hold fluid. Your cells are actually losing their fluid because they can't hold the pressure. When they can't hold the pressure, this fluid seeps out and we become a little more boggy, let's say. As the cells become healthier, they can hold more what they call turgor, more turgor pressure. And so in the process, the cells become more dense. They become stronger in their function. You actually can measure metabolic age by the hydration of the cell. And so what Cheryl is saying is that she's losing size, her body shape is changing because her fluid is recompartmentalizing back into her more healthy state. The little bit remaining in what my wife affectionately calls the personality area. There's an area that will usually come along in that process as well. The recovery time is, of course, the ability to be able to respond and adapt more quickly to the environment that she's doing. Well done, Cheryl.
All right. Well, our next person that we're going to hear from is Lisa White. And Lisa is being brought on to the panel now so that she can share her story. Lisa, thank you for being on tonight and your willingness to share with everybody your experience with BioRes.
unmuting myself. All right, I think I'm on now. Hi, everyone. My name is Lisa, and I'm 52 years old. My story is a little unique in the fact that I am actually a fairly recent cancer survivor. I went through cancer in 2019, went through, and I'm going to mention this just because it is scope to it, is I went through hysterectomy, chemotherapy, radiation, the whole kit and caboodle, and forced me into menopause. And so it has been quite a journey to get back to health for me. For a whole bunch of reasons. One of those has been not being able to sleep very well. And then, of course, also really working to get my physical health back into shape again. And so I started on BioRes 3 weeks ago. I am sleeping so much better than what I was before. It did take 2 or 3 days to kind of get things working again in that, but it has been so much better. I will say, and it's probably my slightly impatient side, sometimes like we want to always see those results immediately when you see especially other people who are like, wow, I've lost 10 pounds in, 7-8 days. And my process was a little bit slower than that, which admittedly I was a little hard at first, right? But I also recognize to whatever extent frequency in my body needed to change, or just a lot of probably needed to come back into alignment after what I've been through. I'm also happy to say that my pants are starting to get looser. The weight's finally starting to come off, even though I know that the weight is not the primary driver. But I'm on a really good path of doing all the right things besides, eating healthy and exercising and definitely having more energy. So I'm super excited to be continuing on this journey. And thank you, Dr. Wilson, for what you created. I know it's not a magic pill, but it feels like it.
Well, thank you, Lisa, for sharing your story. Now, Dr. Wilson, Lisa's story brings up a couple of things. She had been treated for a condition, went through the whole ordeal there, and kudos to you for your bravery and what you did on there, Lisa. But what about somebody who has experienced issues in the past, or maybe they are dealing with some challenges now? How does the BioRes work? Does it interfere with drugs or anything like that?
So a couple of things on Lisa's, just to comment on. One is it took 2 or 3 days for her to start experiencing it, and that's normal. Sometimes the receptors, we say, to the energy become a little bit muddy, and so they have a little difficulty just getting started. And so that's often that's common. That's more common than not. The other part about weight and the shifting going on, the first priority of the cells and the body is always to detoxify. That is the first step in the process of getting healthy. You have to offload that which is in the way. If you're going to remodel your house, you wouldn't just bring in another refrigerator and stick it in front of the other one. You get rid of the first one and put the second one in. And that's somewhat what the body does. It has to get rid of its waste products and its debris before it can continue to function and go forward. As far as the process of life and being able to deal with the elements of life, we all know that life is a process, and therefore to be able to process is life. And so when people have developed dysfunctions over time one way or another, we don't analyze, we don't try to diagnose, we don't want to chase after, in my opinion, what's wrong. What we want to do is support what's right. We don't want to define an issue. We don't want to define a problem. What we want to do is support what's right and let the body's inherent capacity to heal and its desire to heal and its design to heal to do its job. And we just want to stand there and be in support of that, to work with the nature of how we're made.
Well, and of course, our products don't treat, cure, or mitigate any disease. They are, as Dr. Wilson is essentially saying, designed to support human physiology. And the body has mechanisms within itself to do miraculous, supernatural things. Now, one of the questions we've been asked, Dr. Wilson, and Lisa alluded to the fact that it took a while, but she started seeing the size come off, the inches come off, the weight loss. And one of the questions we had is, I've been using Thermo for a while, but I'm not losing weight or inches. Why?
Well, there could be a number of reasons for that. I mean, people are complicated. And the first order of business is, as we were talking before, is detoxification. So before the body to be able to get into the groove and to be able to get into its capacity for function, it has to be able to offload that which is in the way. If you're going to remodel, then you got to somewhat clean it down to the rafters at times, or to the studs. And so that's one part, and being complicated in our nature, a person has to be ready to make a change. A person has to be emotionally willing to support the change in themselves. That's a big deal. Our bodies are looking to us for guidance. Our bodies look to us to lead the show. They depend upon us. Our bodies depend upon our leadership for their guidance of how they're going to perform. So if we're not emotionally ready, say we're too emotionally stressed, we have lifestyle issues that we're working on resolving. We have other priorities in life and we're spending our energy that we're getting in other ways, then we are not going to get the same kind of results as somebody who is enthusiastically embracing a new reality or a new change for themselves. And that's up to each person to decide for themselves how they want to proceed in life. What we're providing is a tool to support their energetic systems, to give them, let's say, a software upgrade in their energy fields so that they can now connect to and adapt to the various challenges and processes of life. If there is no such thing as removing the human from the human condition. So it's about working together with the nature and the nature of the body. And it's complicated. And unfortunately, for a very, very small percentage, sometimes it's just not going to budge. But that percentage is so small. And what you're talking about here, it's just like with the sleep product that we saw at the convention in March. The first night when Sam asked the people in the audience who had taken the product, how many had a better night's sleep, what percentage would you say, Sam, raised their hands and had a better night's sleep?
I'd say 95%.
95%. That's more normal. That's what we expect. But the other people who don't respond also give us talking points for understanding how we can do better, how we can continue to progress and understand the human condition that we're all in.
So if somebody, Dr. Wilson, just following up on that, says, look, I'm anxious to get better sleep, but I took the product and it felt like I had the opposite effect. I stayed awake. What might be going on with that individual?
Again, a very small percent, but that can happen because the first thing the body, the brain will do is detoxify. And if the system, so look at a person who's been under stress for a long period of time. What has their brain chemistry been storing? What do they have in their neurons? They have a lot of stress stored in their neurons, right? So if they go at that detoxification process too quickly and they dump all that toxin out, that is stress chemistry that their body, their neurons haven't been able to discharge, it might shake them up and keep them alert. So in a case like that, you might slow them down so that they can handle their detoxification a little more easily. So it's not necessarily that it won't work. Maybe they're just overcharging it so that their system cannot adapt to all the stress. And again, we're complicated, but that's more normal than not.
So back off a little bit, maybe to 4 sprays or 3. Go that way for a while until you feel like you're starting to shift.
Yes.
Perfect.
And that's not going to happen very often, right, as we saw from evidence. But, these are things that will happen. We will run across in people. And we have tools. And, once you understand the principles, You just work with the principles.
You know, when we were talking about weight management industry, you and I, when we first got together, you know, my challenge is, you know, after I crossed 50 and then 60, you know, the weight got harder and harder to lose. And I just thought, man, what I do not want to do is go on another diet. For crying out loud. It's painful, you know, and then I started taking Biorez. The very first thing that I noticed is instantaneously, I mean, the first day I started losing cravings. I mean, that's the biggest challenge with me trying to diet in any way. The things that you're not supposed to eat while your body is shifting are the things that I love to eat, right? So carbohydrates, and, you know, you go into a coffee shop and you see a croissant, an almond croissant, and it's like, man, it was like a magnet. And I'm thinking, well, I might be able to do that 2 or 3 days a week, but you can't expect me to do that every day, you know, because that's how painful it was to try to do a ketogenic type thing. Is, man, all the stuff that I was craving and that I loved, it was just like, man, that was painful. And all of a sudden, no cravings whatsoever. I mean, I walked in and I had no desire whatsoever to eat that. So why is that occurring in people so quickly?
Well, it's about satisfaction. There are satiation pathways in the brain, and if we address those satiation pathways, the pathways of satisfaction, we are driven by many desires in our digestive systems and in our neurological patterns. Carbohydrates actually stimulate what they call enterochromaffin cells in the digestive tract, which enhance serotonin production. Probably 85% of all the serotonin in your body is in circulation. It's not in your brain. It's produced in the digestive tract in large quantities. People eat carbohydrates and they feel better from that. So we're craving a sense of better feeling from it. We're relieving the pressure and the stress. If we use those understandings and support those pathways that will help someone settle and keep them satisfied, then we can, let's say, allow a person to make a better health or better diet decision and enjoy their food at the same time. We don't want to take away appetite. That's a healthy sign. What we want to do is put people back in control of what they eat, not what eats them, controlling them. And
well,
so,
that brings us to another question, Dr. Wilson. People have said, if I'm eating according to the food plan that Alivea recommends, why not just diet? Why do I need the thermo?
Well, again, the food plan that we're recommending is a weight management food plan to allow someone to achieve their desired size weight. When you reach that and you have established that as your new set point, your new baseline, then we have more, I call it margin in your diet. And now you can start adding other things back in because now your system is functional. Carbohydrates aren't necessarily evil. They're just complicated for the chemistry. And so if people, once they achieve their size weight, they add carbohydrates back in, it does not create a problem for them at that point, then they could start expanding their diet because now they are more functional, you see. But this is for each person to determine. Some people are very carbohydrate sensitive. Some people are not. It may take time for them to stabilize their metabolism. What we're suggesting as a nutritional approach during the weight management side of this is to reduce their carbohydrates, to give their system the fastest chance of returning back to control. Once they've gained control of their system, then they can start adding the carbohydrates back in and see how they deal with it. Some will do fine. It's just a matter of individual variations in chemistry. So the long-term ability to adapt to most diets is what we're really looking for. But there are foods that are synthetic. There are foods that are processed. There are foods that will be hormonally driven in their production, so like a lot of meats. So, and even though they don't feed hormones anymore, they say, there still is many, let's say, stimulants put into different kinds of products that will cause disruption in chemistry, antibiotics, on and on and on. So as a matter of fact, there's so much antibiotic already in our environment that most of the groundwater is upsetting people's digestive tracts. So it's a complicated process, but let your body tell you what you can do. And people who are underweight can use thermo to their advantage because it's a functional product. It is not a weight loss product. And people who are underweight, if they would increase their carbohydrates and increase their nutrient intake, it probably will not decrease their appetite because the appetite signal mechanism is based upon your energy on-board communication or your fat stores that you have stored. So if you have enough fat on board, your body's going to say, I'm good. If you're a little bit lean and you need a little bit more, it may actually increase your appetite so that you will take in more food to now increase your body mass. Being underweight is no better than being overweight. Being normal weight is normal.
Well, you know, I went to the carbohydrate capital of the world, Mexico, this last week. And I came back and I thought, oh my gosh, I don't even want to get on the scale. You know, everything was great, but there's tortillas, there's beans, there's fries, there's this, there's that. I mean, it's just craziness. And it's not that I craved it. It's just that was what was there to eat for the most part. And man, I did not gain a pound. I was so excited when I jumped on the scale this morning because I just thought a week's worth of indulgence would absolutely throw me for a loop before. But I have not regained anything that I lost. I'm still seeing reduction in my belt size, which is incredible. Weight kind of stabilized a little bit, but it's not going up ever. And that's just another form of explanation about what you just said from a science standpoint.
Great, Sam.
Yeah, I told Sam before when he said, I don't remember the last time I wore the belt this size. I said the word disco was involved there. So we want to get back to the testimonials. We've got Dr. Arujo on with us, and let me go ahead and promote you to panelist. And if you wouldn't mind coming on and sharing your BioRes experience, and that's what we're looking for. Again, weight loss or sleep improvement. Go ahead and raise your hand. We've got several people lined up here. We're going to get through all of those. Doctor, are you on with us?
I am on.
Thank you.
Okay. I was actually, before starting BioRes Sleep, I was only getting maybe 4 or 5 hours of sleep. I was waking up 2, 3, and 4 o'clock every night on the clock, regular, until I started taking BioRes. Now I sleep all through the night and I'm very rested.
Right.
My cravings, I basically have no cravings anymore, and my workouts are great. And I am also a cancer survivor, and I started sleeping terribly after my prostate surgery. So this is a welcome change.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Doctor, for sharing your story. And we hear these types of stories, and it's amazing to me how many people are quickly getting results, as Sam was referring to. I'm going to bring on Aaron and or Kristen Dean. I don't know which one is here, but we're going to, maybe both of them are here. We'll be surprised. Why don't you share your story, and then we'll let Dr. Wilson comment on both of these. So thank you for being on. Please unmute yourself and let everybody know your experience with BioRes. Aaron, it's you. Surprise. You're still, your sound isn't coming through, Aaron. Somehow your mic isn't coming through. We're going to go ahead and get back with you in just a moment. And in the meantime, I'm going to bring on Mr. Jeff Allen from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Jeff, are you with us?
I am here, sir. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Hey, I just love what I'm hearing, and Dr. Wilson, it's good to see you. We had a chance to meet, and I know when Sam, I want to say, conned me into helping load boxes, but that's okay. I sure enjoyed the time I was down there, and we had a chance to meet. But, I've been looking at this product and trying it, and been using the sleep, and I notice I'm sleeping a little longer, a little more solid, and but the main thing I wanted to bring up is for the last 2.5 years since Judy and I moved into this house, and we have a couple of acres, and I know we're right by an airport, and we've got some extensive power lines by our house, and I don't know anything about that. I've heard rumors of this and that, but it just seemed like all of a sudden within a few months I just had no energy, and I've been from a run to a crawl. And so when I got this product and I got the Thermo, I don't necessarily feel I need to lose weight. I kind of joke I have furniture disease. That's where my chest has dropped in my drawers. I mean, I'm getting older, but the bottom line is, I can lose a little bit here and there, and I think Judy says probably a little more than here and there. But I know this, that wasn't my intent. I just want to see, do I feel anything different? Do I notice something? And it just seemed like literally it took me about a week before I began to realize that it's not like I had all this energy where I could run around the property, but all of a sudden I could walk to the end of the driveway and get the mail and not be worn out, and I could actually get up and feel like I could walk across the living room and not be worn out. And I take a lot of our products, but I got to thinking, is there something else going on? And but for the last few weeks that I've been using the Thermo in particular, I mean, it's just sent my stamina through the ceiling. And I think that has in itself helped me sleep a lot better. And so that's where I'm noticing the biggest change is my activity is really come back, and I'm able to carry on longer and a little harder and faster and with more stamina. And I'm well rested when I get to bed at night. So before I just didn't seem like I had the energy, and I was just crawling to bed and barely feeling like I could get out. And all of that has returned, and I guess my sleep is coming along with it. But thank you, Dr. Wilson. I can tell you, me, I was sitting there with you at the table, you and your wife, and I guess I am Thomas the Doubter. In fact, Thomas is my first name, but I think I'm becoming a believer, sir. That's all I wanted to tell you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, that goes along with what you were saying, Dr. Wilson, about some people, it takes a little longer to get those results. So Aaron's got his microphone challenge handled, so we're going to bring him back on. And Aaron, it's good to have you back. Thank you for letting me know your mic is ready to go. So go ahead and unmute yourself.
And you can hear me now?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, my name is Aaron Dean. I started my Metabolic Revolution products on April 20th, the day after my 48th birthday. And I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes a year ago, and I was still 100 pounds overweight. I was addicted to sugar and energy drinks, and my sleep pattern was all over the place. I mean, up till 5 o'clock in the morning, sometimes up every hour and a half in the middle of the night to use the restroom when I could get to sleep, sleep until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I was just worn out. In fact, I spent about 80% of my time in bed for the last 2 years, just exhausted. And thank God for BioRes, because I was like, God, I need something. I can't sustain this. So in 19 days, as of this morning, I'm down 14 and a half pounds. I lost at least 6 inches in my body, an inch in my chest included in that. On day 3, I noticed that the cravings were almost completely gone. So I haven't had any sugar, soda, and energy drinks for 2 weeks. And so, that means I eat better because I'm not craving everything and I can eat well-balanced meals. And on day 7, I noticed my sleep. I slept halfway through the night, took 1 dose of sleep again and slept the other half. And I had like 6 or 7 hours of deep, restful sleep I hadn't had in a long time. And that is life-changing. So on the Sunday night last week, I stayed up till 1 o'clock in the morning painting my daughter's room after doing the dump run to the dump that day with, loading up all the trash. I spent the next 2 nights painting. On Saturday night before Mother's Day, I was able to go 3.5 hours shopping with my daughter to get something for my wonderful wife. And, those things are life changing. And the cravings are gone. And I got my Ironman hat because I plan to do a triathlon. I mean, this is a vision board for me right here. So thank you, Dr. Wilson and the whole Alivea team and everybody who's made this possible. Appreciate it.
Go, Aaron.
Thanks for sharing that with us, Aaron. So Dr. Wilson, when people are having metabolic challenges, again, this is part of that resetting the process, right?
We just want people to be more themselves. That's what this is about, helping people return to who they are, what they're designed to be able to do. And it's just through working with nature, working with the natural laws, working with the principles. Nature is very consistent. It's very dependable. It's very reliable. So there are patterns within it that if we follow them, we enjoy the benefits of it. And it's what we're seeing is people being restored back to themselves because life is tough. Life is tough. It takes a lot out of us. And so we need to put it back. That's all. We're just putting it back.
And so here is another question. And you had already answered it, but this is very specific. What should I do after I hit my goal weight and or size?
Well, that's always the question that people have. What do I do next? There will be some follow-ups to this in the future. But if you are finding or have found a way that takes you to where you want to be, then I would suggest that that's a good place to stay. And I would consider that in the interim until there are other options, I would just continue with supporting your life functions. That's what this is about. A person can always decide not to. One of the things you learn in the health world is people will make up their own mind and make up their own decisions. And that's what we want. We want people to be in control and in charge of themselves. But my recommendations, if you find something that works, you can choose to stop or you can continue to do what works. And that would be that's how I lead my life. If I find something that works, I like to continue to do it.
Great. Now we're going to check in with 2 more people that have given us results in the past, and they were having amazing results, but they want to give us an update. The first one is Dottie Anderson. So Dottie, I'm going to go ahead and bring you on as a panelist. And if you wouldn't mind, tell us where you are in your journey, where you started. And we know you are having amazing results, but I want to hear where you are today with all of this. Welcome, Dottie.
Thank you, Steve. I've just been so excited about this product. I do want to say that when I first started, I was thinking, well, I hope the sleep works and the weight loss because I only slept like 3 to 5 hours a night for years and just thought, well, that's all I needed. I'm older. I'm in my 70s, so I probably just need less sleep. And yet I felt tired. So when I started taking it, I did what it said. And then the first few days, I still woke up 3 or 4 times. But the difference was before when I woke up, I would have to, I would be up for maybe an hour or 2 hours before I could go back to sleep. This time I'd spray again and I would go back to sleep. So that was different. But it took me almost 2 weeks for it to just normalize. I now sleep 7 hours every night. I don't get up during the night. I do notice that sometimes during the day I'm tired and then I think, because I hear some say energy, but then I think I have a lot of years of catching up on sleep. And so I'm feeling better resting. Weight loss, I noticed like right away. I was too scared to measure because I didn't want to see them. And so the first week I didn't measure, but I was losing a pound a day and feeling pretty good about that. So the beginning of the second week, I decided to measure. A week later after that, I measured again, and I had lost 21 and a half inches. I measured like 13 different areas. 2 weeks after that, I measured again, and I lost another 10 inches. So I've lost 31 and a half inches. And then I'm going to measure tomorrow, and I can't wait to see the results. So I know for a fact that this is an amazing product as far as weight loss. I know that everybody isn't going to get like it the same realm because I've shared it with others that maybe took 3 or 4 days. One just told me it took them 6 days to start losing and sleeping, but now they're happy. They said it's a miracle. So I just and the cravings, like some of them had said, the cravings just went away. I go to different gatherings. I have a lot of family gatherings, and I just don't have cravings for any of the junk food. So that's a huge, huge thing. And I'm just excited to share these products with the world.
Well, thank you again for that update, Dottie. You know, a lot of people do notice a lot of weight loss, pretty rapid, those first few weeks. And after a few weeks, a person can expect to lose 1 to 2 pounds a week on these products. And that just makes a huge difference in the quality of their life. Right, Dr. Wilson?
It's a pattern that can be sustained over a long period of time. And again, we're more interested in size because that's the true measure. Weight is always going to fluctuate, and that's normal. We want the weight to be normal. We want to, people are carrying a lot of fluid. People are carrying a lot of storage of materials of different kinds. And that's not an ideal state. That's not how we're designed to be. So the ability to offload primarily toxins, that's what's stored, the fluids. The body can't process those fluids. It's for whatever reason. I can give you a lot of them, but we're getting down in the weeds when we do that. But the overview is there's a lot of fluids that don't need to be on our body that are counterproductive. And if we get rid of them, we'll feel better. And another thing that, like Jeff was saying, as his energy goes up and he's able to do more during the day, he's using energies that are now signaling for him to be able to relax more at night. And so it's both sides working that really makes the difference. It's having more energy, useful energy during the day, creating the signals that allow for restful sleep at night. If your body is stressed, too stressed during the day, your signals at night are going to keep you awake. If you can use constructive, normal energy pathways during the day, you'll be able to sleep better at night. So congratulations to you, Jeff, for hanging in there.
Okay, and I'm going to bring on our last person for tonight, and he's going to share his update. He went to the same school as you, just a couple of years behind you, Dr. Brian Sorrell. Doc Sorrell, thank you for being on with us, and please go ahead and give us an update as to how you're doing in your health journey.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I just describe it. It gives me the energy to make great choices. I mean, that's the way I'm going to describe it to my clients, patients, and friends. I'm telling you, I just said, I got 15 grandkids and I'm keeping up with them all now. Before I was dragging myself and I'm in golf carts and playing with them and et cetera. And guys, before this, I was like showing up and was present, but I wasn't actively present. Does that make a difference? All right. And so when you said, the body tells you what to do, you can either pay attention to it or you can ignore it. It's kind of like a guy when he stops smoking, he can say, well, I can go back and smoke right on through that again, or you can eat wrong. You can listen to your body. But what I found, that's the case. I only lost those 4 or 5 pounds in the beginning, but I'm down 2 shirt sizes. Do you see this one? I mean, I'm down, this is crazy. Someone said the other day, wow, Doc, you really look like good. And I thought, well, thanks. I looked that bad before. And they said, well, but I can just say thank you so much. I mean, I understand the science behind it. I've got some other challenges as you give them up to being older. And the parasympathetic and autonomic nervous system, when you explain it that way, those resets changed my life and changed some direction in where I was going with my health. So thank you so much for bringing this product on board, brother. I feel like a kindred spirit with you. I mean, you graduated 2 years ahead of me at Palmer, by the way. And when you walked across stage, I was asking the good Lord for a sign if I should really be doing, am I going to go all in with this? What am I going to do? You walk across the stage and I'm smiling the whole time. The guy asked me, what's that about? And I go, I know who this guy is. I've seen him. Isn't that interesting? So I got my answer. So thanks so much for doing that. By the way, I found in my Alivea products, especially my Limitless, I went from feeling better to no pain in my low back for the first time in 30 years. But it took the combination of the two, if that makes sense. So it doesn't mean you go away from your other Alivea products. I'm just telling you, it just makes them work, okay, to another level. So I appreciate sharing that. Thanks.
Well, thanks for sharing, Dr. Sorrell. And of course, when it comes to pain, that was a reduction in inflammation. Our products don't, again, treat, cure, mitigate disease, and they don't address pain specifically. But when you address specific processes in the body, like reducing inflammatory biomarkers, you see a reduction in challenges that you may have been dealing with. So again, Dr. Sorrell, thank you for sharing your story. Sam, anything you want to say or ask Dr. Wilson to close us out?
Well, first of all, thanks a lot, Dr. Thomas Wilson, for being on tonight. You're very gracious with your time to allow us to do these throughout the week. I know you've got full-time stuff going on in the daytime, making BioRes, by the way.
BioRes.
That's right. And listen, everybody on the call tonight, every Monday night, we're going to be doing testimonies like this. And from time to time, we'll have Dr. Wilson come back and answer more questions because as more and more people come, we see more and more experiences. I just want to say that this is phenomenal. Again, if I was trying to drive a social business, I would pick the most aggressive, underserved market that I could. I would find the most unique, innovative technology, that had the best sustainability. And I would drive my social business to the ends of the earth. And that's what we've got with BioRes. Again, I'll leave you with a little perspective. 2 billion people in the world are overweight or obese. And every one of those people don't want to be there. And the average woman, I think you said one time, Dr. Wilson, has taken 23 diets. Right. Something like that. And it was 23, is that what it was?
That's right.
Yeah. And so what if you had the answer? What if you had the sustainable answer to the biggest comorbidity that exists in the world today, the thing that causes more health challenges and personal challenges, and you could bring that to the market? If 1/2 of 1% of that global market finds us and wants a sustainable impact, in their weight management goals, guess what? We could nourish 20 million children a day. 20 million. Guys, when we get to that, not if, when we get to that point, as I've said many times, they will write textbooks about what we've accomplished because nobody has taken on a challenge this big, and been successful. So I am all about changing the world. I am all about finding the technologies. And Dr. Wilson, you're our champion. Yoo-hoo!
Oh, well, thank you, Sam. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm all
Blessings
in.
to everybody.
Thank you. And hey, listen, somebody invited you to hear this call. Somebody wants to Have you experienced these same great results as some of the people we heard from? We have great science behind our products and they work. Get back with that person and find out how you can have some of these same experiences with BioRez. On behalf of Sam and Dr. Wilson, thank you again for being on. God bless you. We'll see you all again real soon.